Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Rana McBerto. As your host, thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. We're about a minute late in starting because we had some technical difficulties, and we're still having some technical difficulties with the phone system. I'm not exactly sure what is going on, but that doesn't matter because you know what they say: the show must go on, the program must go on. So, what are we going to talk about today? The title of the show today is coming up. And let me go ahead and tell you what the title of the show today, because it's a very important title. Bruce Davis. Hey, brother, shout out to you from Portland, Oregon. Thank you so kindly for being here, my brother, Bruce Davis. Folks, we are going to have a great show for you today. Those of you on Facebook, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, everybody. Welcome aboard those on Twitter, what's that, Periscope. Welcome aboard those on Twitch. Welcome aboard those on YouTube. Anyhow, folks, the title of the show today is coming up. It is, let's see, I just wrote it, so I must know what the title is. Okay, title of the show is Come On Up Network. Come On Up Network. You know, we've been having some interesting issues, not only with communications, but also with our networks. And I mean, it's been crazy. And then, of course, we're going to be off to the caucuses in Nevada this weekend. I'm going to tell you guys a little about that as soon as I am loaded here, which I'm trying to attain at this point in time without too much success, but that's okay. The oligarchy program just showed up. Okay, there we go. Here we go. Title of the show: Why is the American oligarchy coming out to fight so hard in the Democratic primary? Why are they fighting so hard? The oligarchy is out in full force, my brothers and my sisters. The oligarchy is out in full force. Ask yourself a question. Ask yourself this question. The leading contender now, after the person that decided they could no longer hold the person that is no longer holding the bastion of, what do we call it? The neoliberals, since he is floundering. Why is it that as opposed to, let's say, somebody new coming in, somebody who knows what's going on coming in, why is it that what we find now is these guys are saying, well, we need another somebody who really can carry the oligarchies? What do I want to call it? I mean, I don't want to be too negative in the way I'm going to speak, because I have a lot to talk about. I don't want to be very negative, but what I do have to be is tell us that we have got to understand what is going on here. And the truth of the matter is, not very many, again, the way the media is today, not very many understand how we are being played, why we are being played, and how this is going to affect us in the long run. We have to get the understanding of this trade. And I'm going to come on with that. I'm queuing up a few other things here, and then I'm going to really get with the program. So bear with me. Okay, here we go. Subtitle of the show goes like this: The oligarchy is out in full force. They're scared of the metastasis of the grassroots movement to take back this country. Yes, take back this country. Everybody think we're talking about take back this country from Donald Trump. I am not talking about taking back this country from Donald Trump. Welcome aboard, Lawrence Sims. Welcome aboard, Ardell Tuxen. Welcome aboard. I am not talking about taking this country back from El Señor Trump. I'm talking about taking this country back. You know, before I got a call in. I'm having some interesting issues with the phone. I want to see how this is going to work. Let me see. Caller, can you hear me at all? Caller, can you hear me? Caller on the phone, can you hear me? Okay, it turns out that you can hear me. Caller? I can hear. Okay, did you want to add something to the discussion? Okay, great. No problem. Let me just take you off again and put you on listen. Okay, folks, here we go. It is important that we understand what is going on. Okay, here it goes. The oligarchy is out in full force. They are scared of the metastasis of the grassroots movement to take back this country. Fears, lies, and misinformation are their tools we must fight to defy now. You must be engaged. We can see the democratic race is taking form. It is finally taking form, people. And the oligarchy is reading the tea leaves. Their first attempt at co-option Their first attempt at co-option failed. Biden is sinking like a chainless boat. Is sinking like a, I wrote that wrong. Biden is sinking like a chainless boat anchor, going right down to the bottom. That was the utter defense of the oligarchy. It was going to be Biden. He was going to go out there. He's already told the rich people, hey, if I'm elected, you don't have anything to worry about. You don't have anything to worry about. We aren't having those Sanders and Warren people coming to tell you that you have to do your part. Don't worry about it. We're cool. But Americans are smart. A little bit confused at times, but they're smart. And early on, when Biden was riding that wave, he had all the black vote. He had a whole lot of the moderate vote, or most of the moderate vote, and he looked unstoppable. And I kept on telling people, do not buy that. Biden will fall like a boat anchor, and he has fallen like a boat anchor, and he will continue to fall like a boat anchor. And the reason why, again, is he has nothing to offer. You can tell Americans that they're doing very well. You can continue to do that over and over again, and it will fail. Tom Sawyer went ahead, I tell you, and did something special yesterday. Tom Sawyer, and I want you to listen to this piece that I'm going to play here, because it's very, very important. And when we take it, we'll talk about it on the other side. Okay, let's see. There we go. I'm impressed with how Tom Steyer has been handling the media lately. And it was wonderful the way he actually took care of This Week reporter. Well, let me go ahead and play the video, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Mr. Steyer, you say that you can take on Donald Trump on the economy. But the latest Quinnipiac national poll, again released just this week, says 70% of voters describe the nation's economy as excellent or good. So how do you convince them that a change is needed when they think they're doing so well under Donald Trump?
I think if you take a look at what he says, everything he says superficially sounds right, but is actually a lie. So when he says the economy is growing, I can show that, in fact, all the money's going to rich people. When he says unemployment is low, which is true, I can show that the wages people are getting don't support a family. And when he says the stock market is up, these are his three big statistics. It's largely because of the huge tax break he gave to big corporations, but it also doesn't matter that much because most of the stocks, 85% of the stocks, are held by the top 10% of 10.
But I want to go back to that 70% number. You talk about the wealthy. They're not all wealthy people. 70% say the economy is good and they're doing well.
Well, I'm just saying, here we are on a show, and you're standing up for Mr. Trump's version of the economy. And I'm telling you.
I'm telling you about a national poll. I'm not standing up for anybody. I'm telling you about a national poll.
And what I'm saying is this. There is a different story of this economy and this country that has to be told. Mr. Trump has to be face down about what he's saying on the economy because he is running on the economy. That's exactly what he's going to say. He's going to say, I'm great on the economy and Democrats stink.
So how do you
I can take him on that because it has to be shown that this economy actually isn't working for the vast bulk of Americans. And this president is dangerous to them in terms of money and in terms of health care and in terms of retirement.
And let me tell you, Steyer is absolutely right. When he says that, I can't believe you are promoting the Donald Trump narrative, he's absolutely correct. And she may say, oh, the polls say this. Well, most polls that we have today are nothing more than push polls. They ask you, do you support Medicare for all? The vast majority of people say, yes, we support Medicare for all. They said, but Medicare for all will go ahead and take away your private insurance and take away whatever insurance. Then it drops immediately. And then that's what they report. But they don't tell you that they said, but by the way, if you have Medicare for all, you can see whichever doctor you have and whatever medicines your doctor prescribed to you, you can have it. All these polls are push polls, including the one that Raddatz is talking about. But if you have a media that constantly says, oh yes, the stock market is high, but doesn't give a narrative. Oh yes, we're at full employment, but doesn't give a narrative. Oh yes, Obamacare, people like, but don't give a narrative. Then what you have is a people who are answering the questions based on it being push polls. Steyer is absolutely right. what is incumbent on people to do is not only to talk about unemployment being low, but that you're suffering even as unemployment is low. That your healthcare system is completely irresponsible. It's completely evil. You have to make that clear and wide to the American people, that the reason we are in the state that we are in is that we also have a media that's not doing its job. Our media could go to every single country in the industrialized world and show where healthcare is working much better, and educate people so that politicians cannot lie to them as they do right now. Oh, we're going to bankrupt the economy. Oh, we're going to do these things. It is the responsibility of the fourth estate, the media, to put that out. So Steyer is absolutely right. The media implicitly follows the Donald Trump narrative, because the Donald Trump narrative is not much different than the Ronald Reagan narrative and all the presidents thereafter that have completely and entirely supported trickle-down economics and much more. Steyer, thank you so kindly for calling out another irresponsible reporter in the way they relate polls. Okay, that was extremely important what Steyer did there. If you notice, what happens is everybody, look, there is a game that is being played on Americans right now, okay? And here is the game. The game is, we have an oligarchy that takes the majority, the biggest slice of the pie, okay? And in the aggregate, the economy looks like it's doing very, very well. But we know that there are those parasites in our economy, meaning the billionaires. They are the parasites in our economy. They are the ones that don't produce anything. They produce nothing. We produce. They take the spoils of the excess labor that we give them, the excess intellect that we provide them, and all these other issues. They take that. So what do they do now? Okay? The economy is exploding, right? Because if you're going ahead and these guys are making billions and monies on top of monies, it looks great. But it's only a few. So Americans hear on the mainstream media every single day, the stock market is going through the roof. Employment is at the lowest we've ever seen it. This is I mean, manna to the oligarchs, right? Because it sounds good. Americans continuously hear that from the mainstream media day after day after day after day, how the economy is doing well. They don't want it to change. Even if they personally are not doing all that well, they want that economy to keep doing well because they believe that that wave is going to eventually take them on. So Raddatz comes and she says, 70% of Americans says the economy is great and so forth. Yes, that's what they said. But 70% of Americans didn't say that they were doing well. Some of them say we were doing better in the Delta. That's true. We may have been doing a little bit better. But I want you to remember these numbers. If I give you a raise, if I give 10 people a raise that adds up to $10,000, I can say the average raise for those people were $1,000. Wow, we gave them $1,000 raise. But if I gave $9,100 to one person and I gave $100 to the other 9, it is still an average wage increase of $10,000 or $1,000 per person on average. But one person got $9,100 and all the rest got $100. That is the kind of economy that we have, a winner-take-all economy, or a winner-take-the-vast majority economy, right? So what happens then? What happens then is these reporters that have a right or a centrist bias, they try to tell all Americans things are fine, things are fine, things are fine. You don't need to have these major changes. But then you have the Bernie Sanders and the Elizabeth Warren understanding the reality. 500,000 people every single year are filing bankruptcies because of medical expenses. 500,000 people every year. They understand that this great Obamacare that was supposed to allow everybody was supposed to get lower cost healthcare, affordable healthcare. It started out that way. But we all know what the plutocracy has to do. It is it's ever growing at a larger rate than the American economy. So while the plutocracy, the rich people, the people who own stocks can say, hey, the stock market doubled in 5 years. Okay, so you got richer by doubling your money in 5 years, but guess what, brothers and sisters? Guess who didn't? Guess who didn't? The average American citizen, their wages went up by 2% or so, and inflation ate it all, and Medicare and medical expenses ate it all. So they made nothing more. And the extra expense they paid in medical fees wasn't because of inflation in medical at all. It was because you had to transfer your money to those few rich people at the top by paying more for healthcare, by paying for their tax cuts, by paying for all those things you paid for, right? But the economy is doing well. The numbers are there. But remember, 9,100 for one person and 100 for everybody else. We have to understand the game that's being played by us. So Biden was going to come in and be the standard bearer for the Democrats who could possibly beat Donald Trump. But remember this. Remember what a prominent Democrat said. If Donald Trump or Elizabeth Warren were to be elected, he would rather vote for Trump. You have to understand what's going on here. You really have to understand what's going on here, people. It is so important that you understand what's going on here. So, here comes the cave for Donald Trump, for Biden. And we have to do something. We got to do something. Comes Bloomberg, a former Republican turned independent, now become a Democrat, who goes ahead and pays off a whole bunch of people to support him. Pays off black mayors all over the country to soup up his black vote. And as much as he threw black people and Latinos against the wall with this strip searching, threw all these people to the dogs with the strip searching, right? And somehow, he needs to get that black support in the Democratic primaries, because while you don't need as much black support overall in the main stuff, in the Democratic primaries in South Carolina, other places, you are going to need black support. Okay. So he goes and he purchases black support. And of course, the black support that he purchases are black leaders, right? Slavery is an interesting thing. Slavery was forced on us before, but slavery is different now. We can buy slavery. ITT, thank you so kindly for your super chat. Super chat fact. Head into November, we face the potential of all three branches being ineffective to secure the process. Responses must be arranged. From Lived It. Thank you so kindly for your super chat, Lived It. Other folks, why don't you follow super chat and support the program? Let's have some more super chats on YouTube. Folks, I want you to listen to this, man. This is so important that we understand what's going on here. Now, so here comes Bloomberg. He buys black politicians, right? He purchases them. He goes out there and he says, yeah, I'm going to buy all those black folks to try to get some black votes. I am going to buy these other progressive institutions, throw a whole lot of money their way. Oh, we got a lot of money. If Bloomberg really cared about anything, instead of spending $300 million on advertising, he could use that $300 million in barrios and ghettos and Appalachia all over the country. And help those people that are in pain. Help those people be self-serving. Help all of that. I want to hold 1 second because I have somebody on the call. The problem is I don't know how much you're going to hear because we're having some technical problems, but I'll relay what he says. 409, did you want to add something to the discussion, sir?
Hey, Griffin was on it.
Hey, Anas, I don't have good connection right now, so is there whatever you tell me, I'm going to have to repeat to the audience. So what's going on, buddy?
How much influence will Sylvester Turner's endorsement have in Houston, and how much or how did Bloomberg get his endorsement?
Let me go ahead and tell.
Did he pay or what did he pay?
let me go ahead and tell the audience what you asked. Anand Bond, Dr. Anand Bond just called and asked, how much did, what kind of influence? He also, Sylvester Sterner supported Bloomberg, okay? He's now endorsing Bloomberg. Anand Bhatt asks, how much, and by the way, he's a mayor of Houston, the fourth largest city in the country. Anand Bhatt asks, how much influence will that have in Houston? I don't think it'll have much influence because you know what? We have a lot of stations, KPFT, Politics Done Right, and all these other stations are going to be out there. We have Black Lives Matter. We have Pantsuit Republic. We have Indivisible Houston. We are going to make sure that the endorsement given by Sylvester Turner onto Bloomberg means absolutely nothing. Is that understood, Brother Bat?
Yes. And then how did he get it? Did he hire him?
Let me tell. We will. Okay, Bat wants to know. Dr. Anand Bat wants to know, how did Donald Trump? How did Sylvester Turner? What did Bloomberg have to pay to Sylvester Turner to get the endorsement? None of us know, and none of us will ever know, but we know that there is a wink there anytime a billionaire gets into the fold, my friend. Okay?
Okay, well, I love your mental slip. Can you think Bloomberg with Donald Trump? Because
it's the same.
Similarities from billionaires to sexual harassment.
Thank you very much, Anand. You're a wonderful person, and by the way, and thank you for being a great supporter of Politics Done Right too, my friend.
Sure thing. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, folks. So anyhow, going back to the narrative, what I want you to do is show you exactly how they pull the centrists in. What I'm going to play is a piece from I think it was it this week? No, I don't think it was this week. I think it was Meet the Press, the interview with Chuck Todd and El Señor Biden. And I'm going to prepare that narrative over for you. So check this out, and then we'll move on from there. Check this out. Hermanos y hermanas, brothers and sisters, this is one of the reasons why we must try very, very hard to ensure that what we get elected are progressives in the Democratic Party. I want to show you something, but beforehand, I want you to listen to Joe Biden. I want to listen to you hear exactly how he expresses things about Medicare for all and things that are there to serve you, things that are there to make your life better. Check this out.
What you're up against is things that are almost fanciful, like, Medicare for all, 40 trillion dollars. Even Bernie's now saying, well, how much it can cost? Well, who knows? We'll find out. I think that's the phrase you used. Part of being president is not just the idea you have, can you get it done? Have you ever done anything big? Have you ever been able to put together coalitions that bring along Republicans and all the Democrats to get things done? And the idea, it's almost fanciful.
I know, but isn't that Bernie's strength, though? That everybody knows, one thing about Bernie, you know where he stands, you know who he is, he doesn't change.
And he's never gotten anything done. I'm not being, he's a decent guy. He's been talking about health care, Medicare for all, universal health care for 35 years. Nothing's happened. I helped get past Obamacare. I helped move it forward. I got the votes. I'm in a position where I take something that I promise you I'll get done. We take Obamacare. We allow people like out here in Nevada. What's going on? Bernie requires and Elizabeth's plan requires you to give up all private insurance. These folks have broken their necks, the culinary union and others, to get the most comprehensive health care that's out there. And they've given up wages for it. Now they're being told you got to give it up. You can't keep it. And it's going to cost $30 trillion or more. And I can't tell you who's going to pay for it.
Okay, first of all, he's using Republican talking points, and to put it bluntly, he's lying and showing disregard to humanity, showing disregard to the American citizens. First of all, to call Medicare for all fanciful is great when you have either federal health insurance or you're very well taken care of. I just saw a thing from a very prominent that says, I am a father of 3, but I have no insurance on myself. Now, you notice how even Chuck Todd was taken aback when Joe said, oh, Bernie Sanders haven't accomplished anything. He's been trying to do Medicare for a long time and he hasn't accomplished it. And then at the same time, he goes and he said, I get things done with Republicans. After all, we Obamacare. Let's qualify that very well. First of all, yeah, Bernie Sanders could not get Medicare for all because not only were the Republicans attempting to stop it, but folks like the centrists in the Democratic Party attempted to stop Medicare for all. It is exactly as Mitch McConnell is operating, right? The Democrats have given him several bills from the House for him to work and pass in the Senate. He refuses to even bring them up in the Senate, and then he says, oh, the Democrats have not accomplished anything. They haven't gotten any bills passed. Oh, of course they haven't gotten you to pass their bills, but they have gotten a lot of bills. That's exactly what Biden is saying. He's using Republican talking points. The only reason, like, Bernie Sanders has been talking Medicare for all for a long time and has not accomplished it at all is because there are people stopping that from occurring, and it's not the Republicans. It is these are centrists like Joe Biden and others who don't see the reality that we do need Medicare for all. Then he comes with the other Republican talking point, the lie that says, oh, all those workers, including the workers for the culinary union, is going to lose their health care. That's what the leadership, who I think they are likely on the take, are telling the people that work for these companies, or that is what other Republican light candidates are telling their people. Oh, you're going to 140 million people are going to lose their health insurance, and you don't like that. If you like your health insurance, people don't like their health insurance. I mean, the health insurance is a slave driving corporations. They tell you what doctors you can see. They tell you what hospitals you can go to. They tell you what drugs you can take. They like to say, oh, we want to give you the choice of your health insurance. Why take choice away from Americans? That is like saying, I'm going to give you the choice of who's going to be your slave driver. I will give you the choice of who's going to be your master. Master A, Master B, or Master C. They still all have a whip. They still all control you. Medicare for all frees you from that. How does it do that? It does that because guess what? Now, Medicare for all, the one-payer system says the person who decides what drugs you're going to take is your doctor, not some insurance company that is your master. The person who decides what hospital is going to go to, your doctor, not the master, your insurance company. The people who tell you what procedures you can have will be determined by what you need and not by the profit motive of an insurance company who wants to pilfer your premiums and pilfer your tax dollars to go to a few rich people. The last thing about what he had to say is when he talks about, oh, the culinary union has negotiated wages. They've actually taken wage cuts so that they could have better health care. Well, hell, if they now get Medicare for all, their wages can increase. And you know what? Given that Medicare for all is paid for out of the big pool from all of us all, what it really means then is, oh, the culinary union with Medicare for all, their salaries can increase because the employer is no longer responsible for doing all of that, and they get more money. They get more money. So it is the lies that centrists and Republicans are telling Americans it's not only evil, it should actually be criminal. Because a lot of people are going to die, what I call voluntary manslaughter, because of the lies that they've convinced good Americans about. Now, here's the deal. I went ahead and, in preparing for this, I just came up to an article. It just sort of appeared. And guess what? It's amazing. Because what we actually thought is we know what's true. And what is true, my brothers and my sisters, check out the headline for this Daily Kos article. Sanders applauds new Medicare for all study will save Americans $450 billion and prevent 6,000 to 8,000 unnecessary deaths every year. Senator Bernie Sanders on Saturday applauded a new study published by a team of epidemiologists in the peer-reviewed medical journal The Lancet, which found that Medicare for all will save Americans $450 billion and prevent 68,000 unnecessary deaths each and every year. The study confirms that Medicare for all will save the American people $450 billion on healthcare costs and will prevent 68,000 million deaths. So folks, don't believe the lies. The stories are out there to tell you. I mean, math is absolute. If you also have to pay shareholders and profits and duplicate services, and all, of course, having independent private insurance companies for something that should be a right costs a lot more money. And you know what? The evidence is there. We pay more than any other country in the world per person for medical care. So let's stop allowing people to confuse us. Let's stop allowing people to lie to us. Everything that Biden puts when he was interviewed there by Chuck Todd is the perfect reason, first of all, why he is sinking in the poll, and why every centrist, every moderate that claims they don't want Medicare for all should continue to sink in the poll if we, as American citizens, know what's good for us. Let's start looking out for those who look out for us. Let's start looking out and make sure we look out for all our brothers and sisters. And you know what? It's not anyone that is opposed to Medicare for all. Those opposed to Medicare for all, they are opposed to you. Remember that. Those that are opposed to Medicare for all, they are absolutamente opposed to you. All right. I have one, Chris Matthews the other day, remember, I try to explain to everybody the scare tactics that are being used. I have another caller here. Let me take the caller. And caller, I want to remind you that we are having some technical problems. So what I'm going to have to do is when I hear what you have to say, I have to relay it to our audience as we go. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that out. Okay, 828, come on in.
Hey, Egberto, how are you doing? This is Hope Bleeker in North Carolina.
Hope, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Hey, I need you to give me some love to the great senator from Vermont. I'm in Rutherford County.
Yeah.
It's a wickedly red state, and we picked up 30 voters today. I am actively canvassing for this wonderful man from Vermont. I couldn't think more about it. There are people who are turning. I need you to be aware of what's going on in North Carolina. I really do.
Okay, I need you to tell me. First of all, let me ask my audience. Audience, I am trying to rig this stuff here so that we can so I don't have to repeat everything the caller said. Can you hear when she speaks? Let me ask you one more time. Can you hear when the caller speaks? I mean, it's not going to be as loud as this. Go ahead and speak again, Rose.
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you. I hope the audience can as well. We'll see. Audience, can you hear?
Okay. Well,
Go ahead.
Well, Berto, I just wanted to let you know what it's boiling down to in the South, and I think that Vice President Biden poses a real, threat to some areas of the South. But a lot of the voters, I'm actively canvassing with Sanders, and a lot of the voters, they sort of see Biden as a little bit radioactive, and they see Bloomberg as too little too late. And, they just really understand the advantages of Medicare for all.
Right.
That's really what it's about. That the health decisions will be made by you and your doctor, not an insurance company focused on maximizing profits. And that's what it is boiling down to here.
Okay, let me tell you, my audience is having a hard time to hear you, but I'll definitely relay that. And what I want to ask you to do me a favor, drop me a line, please. Yeah. Drop me a line at info@politicsdoneright.com, and we will publicize for you, okay?
No, I deeply appreciate that. Thanks. No matter who wins, I appreciate you being out there, Roberto, and I appreciate the ability for everybody to just kind of get together and talk about it. So thanks.
Thank you so kindly for what you are doing, because what you are doing is what we all have to do, be engaged. So you are wonderful, and you have a wonderful day, okay?
All right. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you. Okay, folks, as you can see, we have people engaged. I'm hearing Lawrence says it's very low but clear. I'm glad. If you see, guys, I'm using another mic to go to the computer that handles the telephone calls, because we're kind of not connected. I don't know what happened, and it happened right before the show. So forgive me. Okay, 516, come on in real quick, 516, and speak as loud as you can. 516, you're on.
Hey, Berto, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me.
How's it going, man? I just want to say I really support your efforts. And I just recently found your channel. And I'm starting to see a lot of people truly try to reach out and motivate people online. I really support that. And I think you're doing the right thing, man.
I really appreciate the kudos. It's people like you who help keep us focused. So I thank you so kindly for calling, my friend.
It was, like, I didn't know if you had the time, though, but there was one thing that I'm on board with everything that everybody was saying on our side. No matter what, Trump and his type of element, that whole regime has to go. That's a fact. However, I'm wondering if people are really, are we getting too caught up in the democratic process to select a nominee and forgetting that the entire process right now is at the greatest risk it's ever been under. We all know that Trump asked for foreign involvement. Republicans protected him in the impeachment trial. I'm just wondering, has anyone forgotten that?
No, I think you're right to bring that up. And let me tell you how I answer that. The Democratic debate that we're having right now necessarily has to be, how should I put it? Necessarily has to be aggressive. We are at a flex point in this country. Let me give an example. My contention is this. Biden would not be as terrible a person as Donald Trump in the way he treats people, in the way he deals with immigration, in the way he deals with a lot of issues. He will not be as caustic as Donald Trump. But from an economic standpoint, which is all that should concern many of us, and I'm not saying we shouldn't be concerned about immigration. I am an immigrant, so I am concerned about that as well. But what materially affects you today when you go to work, whether you are going to have the right to have a wage increase, whether you are going to go bankrupt for Medicare for having health care, whether you are going to reach a point in your life where things can happen good for you. My contention is economically, it matters not much whether it's a Biden or a Trump. For a lot of other issues, it does. But economically speaking, if we take a look at the trajectory from Ronald Reagan, going through Clinton, going through Obama, going through Bush, the decline of the middle class has been on the steady trajectory. The plutocracy has been winning irrespective of whether we got a Democrat or a Republican in office. So my contention is as follows. Let's have this fight now, a progressive centrist fight now. Let's try to talk to Americans, not only Republicans and Democrats, but independents and everybody else. Let's talk to everybody. Whoever wins on this side, I will be even if it's Biden, I will be out there saying, and again, I'm assuming that it's done fairly. After the Americans, if you and I are not able to convince Americans of what's best, and they decide to choose otherwise, it's still a democracy. And therefore, I feel it would be my responsibility to support the ticket, the Democratic ticket, if it was done by the American people. So I want this debate. And then I'll tell you, I think Donald Trump really will remain a paper tiger, but we'll talk about that another time. Anything else you want to add, my friend?
Well, no, Purple, I agree with you. I agree largely with everything that you said. I'm still worried.
And you know what?
I feel like our people...
Right. Let me just say this, sir. I want to say this, sir. Let's not worry about being worried. Let's do what you are doing right now. You are actually a part of the body politic. You're actually a part of doing something. The fact that you're listening to this and you're calling in, and one thing I'd like to ask you to do as well is to share what we're talking about by sharing our videos and sharing all this thing. Right. Then we are doing our part, sir, and you are doing your part, sir, and we are going to win, sir, because at this point, I think Americans have reached that point in life. So thank you so kindly for calling, sir.
Okay.
Have a wonderful day. All right, folks, I'm sorry for the connection. I'll make sure that we fix that by the time I get back from Nevada. Let me just give you guys a little story. I got a call from a kind subscriber to Politics Done Right who said, "Hey, Egberto, we are heading to Nevada to canvass in the the caucuses in Nevada. I want you to come. I'll take care of your fare and lodging, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you know what? So I'm heading to Nevada mañana. I'll be doing, however, I'll find a way to do Politics Done Right from there. Whether I have to do some of them by whatever, we'll do it. And I'll have some special outtakes for those of you that are subscribers. I mean, I love all of you and I believe in all that good stuff. But I mean, if those that decided, I'm going to give Egberto $1.99, $2.99, $4.99, $10 or whatever, I'm going to have do some special things for you while I'm out there in Nevada. Again, just to kind of encourage people to support the program because, folks, when I tell you we need the support for Politics Done Right, I really mean it. And how can you support Politics Done Right? And I forgot to bring all those things up, and then we'll continue with the program. But how can you support Politics Done Right? There are a lot of ways that you can support Politics Done Right. The first way you can support Politics Done Right is just going to our store, right? Go to our store and go ahead and say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get a T-shirt that says, I support independent media, and with our logo on it, and go ahead and purchase it at store.politicsdoneright.com. And if you do that, guess what happens? We are able to put all of this together to support what we need to do to be a functioning alternative to the mainstream media. But additionally, what we really want, right, is folks to become subscribers. Subscribe to the show at whatever level you can. And you just go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. You can also support our media upgrade. We're heading out to Nevada, right? I'm going out there with some of my older equipment and stuff, but for this transition, we are going to need to get some better equipment so that we can come at you at a better rate, etc. You can always contribute to our equipment fund, which is at gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. Again, that is gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. Secondly, you can also go ahead and you can also go ahead and support us by going to contribute to, what's the word again? The word is paypal.me/politicsdoneright. Again, that is paypal.me/politicsdoneright. And don't forget again, repeat again, go to our store, and we have a lot of stuff at our store, including my book, As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Class, you can also get this one if you don't want to get it at our site, you can also get it at Amazon. Amazon has it. As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. That book will teach you just about everything you need to know about how our economy works and how these guys are screwing us over with healthcare and all these other issues. I kind of start from the genesis of me back in Panama and what I believed about the United States, and when I came over to the United States, how I learned so much. I learned so much about not only the United States political system, but how it goes through the entire world, how it affects the entire world. So folks, go ahead and please go, again, support us at patreon.com/politicsdoneright, patreon.com/politicsdoneright, gofundme.com/independent-media-upgrade. That is for our equipment fund. Go to paypal.me/politicsdoneright to provide a contribution, or go to store.politicsdoneright.com. Thank you so kindly for indulging me that little time for self-promotion or promoting of Politics Done. Now, right now, we have a lot of folks in the main media trying to really scare Americans, right? They're trying to scare Americans. Oh, if you get Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren, what we're talking about is socialism, and that's going to be there to kill a whole lot of people. And I want to hear the how should I say this? The stupidity, and I don't talk like that on air. I don't like to use those terms on air, but in effect, the stupidity that came out of the mouth of somebody that should really know better, somebody that really knows better, but you know how it goes. Check this out. Chris Matthews may be starting to show that he's not aging well from the thought process or the thought bringing things together process, because this was sort of a hyperventilation on his part. But luckily, I think later on as he brought on Michael Moore, it made things a little bit better. Check this out.
I have my own views of the word socialist, and I'll be glad to share them with you in private. And they go back to the early 1950s. I have an attitude about them. I remember the Cold War. I have an attitude towards Castro. I believe if Castro and the Reds had won the Cold War, there would have been executions in Central Park, and I might have been one of the ones getting executed. And certain other people would be there cheering, okay? So I have a problem with people who took the other side. I don't know who Bernie supports over these years. I don't know what he means by social. 1 week it's Denmark. We're going to be like Denmark. Okay, that's harmless. That's basically a capitalist country with a lot of good social welfare programs. Denmark is harmless.
It's pretty clearly in the Denmark category, yeah.
Are you sure? How do you know? Did he tell you that?
Well, I mean, that's what he says, and that's what his agenda calls for, right?
You're always welcome here. Spread the word among the Bernie people. We want the surrogates like Ro Khanna. We want Tina Turner.
Yeah,
please come again and again.
And we want to assure you we will never take you into Central Park.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. You and I can argue about that at a separate place, but you're always on. And by the way, whatever my opinions are, don't ask me. I say, but don't ask me. This place is for the argument, not for my views. Thank you so much.
We love you, Chris.
Actually, though, I kind of like what Chris Matthews did there. He said, this place is for the argument, not just what I think. What he thinks is dubious. But you know what? The fact that he is going to entertain the argument, the fact that he brought Michael Moore back to the set to talk with him, yes, he kind of shot away from, I think he's a bit embarrassed for what he said. But you know what? All is good. Bernie Sanders has a platform. Everybody can go read the platform. We're not talking about some Venezuela, Cuba thing, and that's a whole other history that needs to be articulated to Americans in the right way. But again, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about exactly what every American wants and what every American needs. Medicare for all, student loan forgiveness, to ensure that parents can have a place they can afford to put their kids, and all these other policies that make living worth living, that make living joyous. Something that is not happening in America right now. Something that Americans are clamoring for, but right now they are being so enslaved by the corporatocracy that they live their lives to work as opposed to working to live a fruitful life. That is where we want to go. Where you work. Everybody works, but they work in order to have a fulfilling life, not to make wealth and riches for just a few. Not to make wealth and riches for just a few. And you know, that starts with something like Medicare for all. That starts with something like student loan forgiveness. That starts with a whole lot of things that we can afford that tell you we can't, but we can. The numbers are absolute. They tell you all kinds of things because they cower when they have to consider that, by the way, capital gains are earnings as well. Wealth is at many times legally stolen earnings of the masses. Folks, you don't understand what rich is. You know, I want to end, let me see if there's anything that I need to answer first. I think I have so many different folks in the chat room that they're all answering each other. I have the smartest audience, man. When I say smartest, I mean folks that are insight. I tell you what, let me go ahead and do this real quick, then I'll end with the thing that I want to say. Hey, brother, shout out from Portland, Oregon. Welcome, Bruce Davis. Bruce Davis, Will, Nevada. Lawrence Sims, let's get it on. Ardella Tucson, please read Conservatives Without Conscience by John Dean. Study authoritarianism. This is what's happening. You're absolutely right. I haven't read the book, but I heard about it. Bruce Davis, want Sanders my vote. Lawrence Sims says, what did they say about after Bill Clinton lost Iowa and New Hampshire? Yes, but it's a different era altogether. Biden is toast. Trump is the best thing to happen to America in a long time. America needs him. He saved America from the demo rats. Oh, so now I'm a rat. And libtard who have no clue what they are turning America. I think you mean what they're turning America into. You know what, I would love, because I hear a certain tone in your voice, in your writings. Man, would I love to take you to a Starbucks and sit down and have a cup of coffee with you, because I think after you've spoken to a real progressive, a real liberal like myself, and realize there's no hate, there's no animosity towards you, that actually there is a whole lot of love to wanting you to make sure that you have a good life. I have nothing against you having a good life. I think when you really understand that from most of us progressives, you would take a different stance. And not only that, you'll understand how we are being played by a plutocracy. And it's not by the Republican Party only or the Democratic Party only. It's by a plutocracy that runs them both. I think, we could have a cup of coffee and sit down and have a good time. Mike Cisak says, Democrats have to lie about the economy. I don't ever lie about the economy, folks. I have been a part of the economy for a long time. I've been a businessman, everything put together. Successful at that. And left it alone on purpose to do what was right for my daughter, your daughter, and others. Julie Sylvia says, thank you for pointing this out. Thank you, my friend. Yes, very important. Lawrence, show it in a cool and calm manner and not run folks away. I am not sure what that is, but I'll go ahead and let's see what that says. Okay, I see what you said right there. Lee Grant, several polls do indicate that people are generally satisfied with their lives. This is antithetical to the leftist view that we actually live in a Zambia. No. That's not what it says, Lee Grant. Everybody, while they're not infected by some disease or have to be in fact with the system, we all want to live a positive life. So, Lee Grant, that's not an accurate statement. Replying to Mike Cisak, what do you know personally about the economy? Please share as my personal understanding. Lee Grant, Egberto and his fellow travelers have the task to tell happy people they are miserable. Nope, that's not my task. Says, game is the Democrats and MSM are promoting their selfish oligarchy agenda in guise of globalism and whoa, wow. You must be listening to some bad news, my friend. Like I said, we need to have a cup of coffee. And you said Bernie will destroy America. Oh, I don't think so. But we need to have a cup of coffee. And again, live it. Thank you for that super chat. Other folks, follow what Libby did. He sent us a super chat to support the program. Just click on, if you're on YouTube, just click on that $sign and say, hey, let's support something that's doing good for America. All right, we have Lee Grant says, leftists have failed to decry political violence. We can expect big trouble when Bernie is denied in Milwaukee. No, we're not going to have big trouble if things are done correctly. Look, if Bernie doesn't win and it's done cleanly, nobody will complain at all. Lawrence Sims says, just curious about the number of people in the race and was on the Hill that said nothing. Whoa, I'm running out of time. Okay, Libet says, facts, Egberto, thank you, my brother. Lee Grant says, Charlottesville was an isolate. We'll leave that alone. Hope Beaker, hey, Egberto, I really need you to quit beating up on Bernie. I don't think I've ever beaten up on Bernie, my friend. Hope. Let's see. Livet says you don't even believe that, irrespective of Yes, you're right, Livet. Mike Cisak says, I'm wondering, M4 is so great, efficient, and cost-effective. Why are individual states taking it up? They should be able to save much. You know the answer to that. Why would I need to repeat that? Livet says, therefore, actual patriots should have no issue calling BS. You're right about that. Hope. Texas stinks? No hope. Texas doesn't stink. There are great people in Texas. Under Obama, did the Amendment King amend... come on now. Come on. Joseph Pitters. Hope Bleeker, I think you're wrong. It's not about Bernie. Lawrence Sims. Let's see. Karen Andreessen. Welcome, Karen. The media keep trying to portray progressive ideas as impractical. With a change in the tax structure, many of the progressive ideas can be implemented. Healthcare and even the Green New. You are so right, Karen. You're so right. The issue is that they see power in denying. That's what it is. Progressive ideas like down in Venezuela. Please tell me. Well, Venezuela requires deeper thinking, and I don't have the time to go into that right now. Cobalt, only a little. Cobalt Queen, welcome aboard. I don't think I've seen you before. Dan Marks, no, I can hear. Okay, and let's see. Sonia Weber replying to Mike Cisak. Socialism isn't the problem. The problem is corruption. Thank you very much. Mike Cisak says socialism breeds corruption. And you know what? That's incorrect. I'd say imperialism. I say capitalism does that. Thank you, Hope, for claiming. Let's say Lee Grant, the so-called progressive agenda is much more compatible with the Marxist agenda. That's wrong. You need to study a little bit more. Let's see now. Resin Devs, why do Trump bad? I'm not sure what that is. And from my Margarita Mercure from Periscope. Hola, Good to see your show. Thank you so kindly, Margarita. Please remember to share all these shows. Okay, I have about 1 minute to say what I want to say. Look, slavery is not a color thing anymore. Slavery is a mental thing. The plutocracy has learned that putting people in chains is not necessary to effect slavery. And I'm going to go into this at a deeper time in a deeper mode. Slavery is no longer color. Slavery is now an institution that afflicts the entire country. Whenever somebody tells you, we want to give you choice with insurance companies, and you believe that it's really a choice, and you don't see it as being a choice between several slave masters, it means our minds are still enslaved. Because when you are given a choice, you're really given a choice, right? And what I'm saying, when you are given a choice to say which enslaver I want, is it really a choice? When you are given a choice between insurance company number one that says you can only have drug A, B, or C, but not D, you can only go to that hospital, but not the other, you can only go in network here, otherwise I sock you and send you to bankruptcy, and every single insurance company has these different types of options, that's not freedom. That's not choice. That is enslavement, in which your choice is to choose who do you want to be enslaved by. So brothers and sisters, I want us to open our minds. I want us to start looking clairvoyantly. I want us to start thinking and not having others impose a thought process within us. I don't want you to listen to what I'm saying. I want you to hear what I'm saying, analyze what I'm saying, and putting it against the facts that we put out here. Because, as somebody said, we don't want zombies. We want thinking people. We want people that understand what's going on here. And if we can understand what's going on here, nobody can pull the wool over our heads, and we will be successful in November. We won't be successful in electing an oligarch. We won't be successful in electing somebody who supports an oligarch. We won't be successful in supporting people carrying the water for the oligarchs. We will be successful when we elect the person that is working for us, that's going to go out there and say, using the power that you give me, we will win. And folks, we can do that. We can win in a landslide if we just unenslaved our own minds and start thinking. And don't believe what I'm saying. Let's think together. But we can do this. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby? I am what?